What's up, everybody? Noble Comics here. Coming at you live today. A few things I want to talk about. Make sure this is all working correctly. Yeah. So, I wanted to talk about a few issues here. I know there's been a ton happening in the comic book industry lately. From the Image Comics thing, to the Shang Chi story, to Shang Chi movie, Iron Fist story, sorry. A few other things. I want to talk about. See how that looks. Okay, sorry, I got my other monitor over here. So yeah, first I just want to talk about Shang Chi. I saw the movie with my girlfriend. I wasn't going to see it, then she was like, "Hey, why don't we go see it?" So I said, "Okay, whatever." Um, and so I guess this is going to be like a spoiler review of the movie. I thought it was fine overall. It was okay. Nothing special by any means. It really felt just like Asian Black Panther because you had like instead of claw, a guy who has a sonic weapon for a hand. You had the guy who has the sword as a hand. You had fighting the guy with the exact same powers as you for the villain. But that's like a Marvel staple. Like you had this new fantasy world with these, it felt like pretty much Black Panther but Asian. Um, it was fine, forgettable. I think whenever I came out of the movie theater, that's what I said to my girlfriend. Is I said I think I wrote it down. I said it felt like a forgettable B movie that, like years from now, your friends are gonna say, "Hey, do you remember? Oh, what was that movie called with like the big dragon monster and the rings? Oh, that kung fu movie. We should watch that." Like as a nostalgia thing. Oh, remember that movie? Like, oh yeah, it was Shang Chi. Then you watch it because it's not really that great. But I guess it had some charm, it was kinda fun, but the whole time, because I was thinking they talked about this movie, and the main actor of Shang-Chi was, like, so hoity-toity about, like, "Oh, he's Asian cinema, he's representation, all that stuff." So I thought for sure that they were gonna make it super awesome, or at least I thought that the martial arts were gonna be super awesome. It's Shang-Chi, the greatest martial artist in the Marvel Universe. So that's what I was hoping. Now, the fight scenes, as far as, like, the hand-to-hand fight stuff, was better than most Marvel movies. I'll say that they had some good, like long shot, or like one take, good choreographed fights, but a lot of it felt like it was trying to imitate a good Asian martial arts movie without understanding what made it good. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But yeah, so um, I think it missed the beat, and I think that theme kind of continues. There's a few scenes in the movie that like you almost understand what you're doing, but you don't. Like there's one scene that's a pretty common trope where they're like heading towards the door, but the door's closed, and at the last minute they gotta bam punch it open so they can like barely get through. It's like a suspenseful, can we make it through or not type of thing. And typically, that's fine and it works well enough. But I feel like the point of it is you got this set up. Oh man, are they going to make it or not? Of course, you know that they are. This has been done 1,000 times. But they did this bit like so fast that it was like, oh, are we going to make it? Oh yeah, we made it. So like, I didn't even have time to be concerned about whether or not they were going to make it. Like that happens multiple times where they have these bits that are just kind of stereotypical or kind of cliche, but they can be done well and they just rush them. I think it's like just to have them, they're just rushed. Boom, there you go. Like I didn't even have time to think about it. Um, so it was kind of weird like that. Again, kind of forgettable. But this goes into the larger issue that I had with Shang Chi, and it's what I was thinking about the whole time. Was this movie and this character does not have any rules? Because that's what I was kind of talking about on Twitter. Was movies don't have rules anymore, particularly with this movie. I'm talking about like Jackie Chan movies, because he talks a lot, or I say he talks a lot. He talked about how his movies and his character in his movies uh, has rules that he abides by. For example, one rule his character has is that when there's a conflict, his character will always run first. violence is not his first response. He wants to get away. Of course, he never can get away. He's chased, they trap him, and then he resorts to fighting. So I guess it's like not a glorification of violence. It's like a last resort. A hero always tries diplomatic ways, whatever works, fine, whatever. And then in the fight, he says his character always has to fight from a disadvantage. And you watch any Jackie Chan movie, especially anything that he directed, but even his American movies, you can see that too. He's always fighting and his hands are tied. He's got a bomb in his mouth. He's like on some banister, off balance trying to fight. He's like stuck between a ladder and he's having a fight like that, or he's on a bicycle. He's fighting guys. There's always like a theme or like a disadvantage that his character's at, so that you're always rooting for the guy, which makes sense. You'd want people to root for you. So that's like one rule, and I noticed that because there were a few cool set pieces to like some of the fight scenes, like when they're on the scaffolding outside like this big building, they're fighting on the scaffolding, and that could have been really cool, and that could have been like really interactive with the audience where we're like, oh my gosh, he's like hanging off the side and all this stuff fighting these guys. It was set up like what I would think a cool Jackie Chan fight scene would be, you know, where he could have done a lot with that. But it's just like he was fighting inside, except he had a bit of a view. Like one of the characters like was hanging off the side of the building, which, that's fine. Or hanging off like the scaffolding on the side of the building. But he was like perfectly fine fight. Like I feel like if you're gonna do this fight scene on the side of a building on the scaffolding, it should actually involve the scaffolding more. And there are a few things like one of the boards he kicks it and it flips up and hits a guy in the face. But for the most part, it's just regular hand-to-hand fighting and him throwing guys off buildings. So that was stupid. Again, it just kind of felt rushed, where it's like, hey, let's have a cool scene where we do this. Okay, let me write that down. Okay, and we'll do this. Write that down. Okay, then we'll do this thing where he's trying to drive through. So like the last minute, he's got to open up the door. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. They wrote down all these ideas, and then just never actually like fleshed them out well enough for like on screen. So I had a problem with that. The fight scenes, like I said, were good but not great. They lacked a ton. The character lacked rules because two, a big part of this movie is the revelation that Shang Chi murdered this guy. Like he was raised by assassins. He was gonna do a hit on the guy who killed his mother. And originally he says, "Oh no, I didn't kill that guy. I couldn't go through with it." But then he reveals, "I did kill that guy. I straight up murdered this dude, assassinated him." And he's like all sad about it. And it's like this big burden is the fact that he murdered this guy. But half an hour earlier, he was literally throwing guys off the side of a building. Or he fought some thugs on a train and he like threw them out of this train into oncoming traffic, going like 80 miles an hour. Okay, so do you have a problem with killing people or not? Like, that's a rule right there that is not established and really stupid. No rule. And again, this goes into rules, and then I also wanted to say it feels like movies want to be all payoff and no setup. Kind of like that going through and the door has to open. It's like they gave us the payoff of them making it through the door, but there was no real setup of, oh no, are they going to make it or not? And that's true of fighting on the side of that building. It's like, oh, the payoff is this cool fight scene, but there's no setup of being afraid of heights or anything like that that you could have used to make the scene even better. And I think that's a lot of modern movies. I instantly thought of Ray as well. I feel like her character is like all payoff and zero setup. And I feel like her character lacks rules, though I could be wrong. I haven't watched those movies in a long time. But I'm willing to bet. I think that's a lot of thing with modern movies. is they just don't really care. I don't think it's like they don't know these things. They just don't care enough because they know you're gonna buy it anyways. So whatever. So that was some of my thoughts on Shang Chi. The last fight scene was okay. Again, you have characters die, and it's like, okay, that's all payoff, no setup. Am I supposed to care that this character you introduced to me 5 seconds ago is dead? Or the characters you should care about, they're just dead. It's like, okay, they're dead now. Like, is it? I don't know. Is it supposed to make me care? Because it's not. Not to mention, something I'm going to talk about less, but nonetheless bothers me, is that these movies, comic book movies, are so unloyal to the source material. The Nolan Batman movies annoyed me the worst. Upon review, years later, I don't have as big a problem with it, especially like The Dark Knight is a great movie. I partially hate The Dark Knight just because of how much people just absolutely get horny over it. Oh, The Dark Knight's so great. Heath Ledger's so great. It's like, yes, those things are true, but it's like, calm down. Okay, there are other, it's not like it's the only movie on the planet that's good. People just freak out over that movie. But I didn't like, my thought was, again, that movie came out when I was 8 years old. So my thought is, if I go to the movies to see Batman, I want to see Batman. I don't want to see Christopher Nolan's take on Batman. You know what I mean? If I go to see Shang-Chi, I want to see Shang-Chi. I don't want to see whoever the directors was take on Shang-Chi. I want to see the comic book character that I am paying to see. I don't want to see your interpretation of this character. I know that's basically an impossible task because there's like zero accurate comic book movies. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any of them. I think there's nothing's loyal to the comic. Everybody wants to do their own spin on it. And usually a lot of what made it awesome is lost along the way. Batman is the worst when it comes to this. Because Batman, we talk about rules. Superheroes are great for having rules. Every superhero has rules, or they should. It's typically I don't kill people. Like take Batman. He's like the prime example that most other morality stuff is based on. I feel like with a lot of superheroes. I don't kill people. I don't use guns. I'll still break all your bones, you know. I don't hurt children, stuff like that. Um, but even those rules aren't really universal. Look at Superman, because he's like, I'm not going to kill you. I don't use weapons either. But Superman wouldn't break your spine. Batman would break your spine, but Superman wouldn't. Daredevil would. Punisher would kill you. You know, they each have like their own line, but they all have rules that they can be consistent to. Because a superhero without rules is just like a supervillain, or at best, like an anti-hero. You gotta have rules. That's what sets them apart. And I feel like that's lost, especially in the movies, especially Batman, like I was saying, because these Batman movie directors, writers, whatever, none of them understand Batman at all. They read like two Batman comics, which is probably The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, and then maybe like The Killing Joke, the Batman Starter Pack. And then they think, yeah, I get Batman. I get Batman, but also we're gonna have Batman kill people. So there's that. Say if you make Batman kill people and you have Batman shoot people, looking at you, Ben Affleck, then you've lost the point of the whole character. Then you don't understand him at all. Zack Snyder does not understand the man at all. It's inconsistent. It breaks the rules, and so it's stupid. I decree it is stupid. So that was kind of my thoughts on Shang-Chi. Forgettable, stupid. I'll say I did enjoy the fact that we got to see Abomination. That was kind of cool. I like that kind of stuff, like the little Easter egg stuff they put in these movies. That was cool. I kind of hate how they changed the entire concept of the Mandarin and the Ten Rings. I kind of hate how there's a lot of America hate in that movie. Oh, yeah, and just the whole girl power sentiment in that movie was so, like, ridiculous to me. How it was like, sorry, the school for assassins to go out and murder people. They didn't allow women. Isn't that a bad thing, how they wouldn't let women into the school? It's like complaining that, I don't know, they didn't have enough women executioners or something like that. I was about to say women Nazis, but then I didn't wanna just compare everything to being a Nazi, so there you go. But it's like, why is that an issue? That there's not enough women assassins. So I thought that was stupid how they brought that up, and then she was like, "Yeah, well, they wouldn't let me be an assassin, so I just trained myself, and I was even better than the boys." It's like, okay, then 1, why are you complaining, you stupid idiot, dumb bitch? Why are you still complaining about it? And 2, it's like, okay, no, you weren't. What, you just watched them train and then you trained yourself, but you were even better than the guy who's been around thousands or tens of thousands of years learning like every form of whatever, whatever to train his son. You at 12 years old were able to just do it better because those stupid boys don't know what's going on. Stuff like that, where it's like, okay, if you want to do like a girl power thing, make it make sense. Don't make it stupid. Don't make me like face palm in the movie theater. So that was stupid. But there was a huge, like, anybody who's going to be a boss has to be a girl. Anybody who's going to be a good person has to be a girl. There are these guys who've been doing this for thousands of years. There's another scene, like, but if it's a girl, they can probably just do it in like 5 seconds. All payoff, no setup. Uh, so that bothered me. Thought that was stupid. Like, I don't know. That kind of stuff bothers me. It's like, if you want to have, and I was thinking about this too, with that, specifically that one character who they weren't allowed in assassin school, but they trained themselves, and by golly, they're even better than the men were. I immediately was thinking about Kill Bill, which I only recently watched, but I really liked it. And you contrast that with like Kiddo and her whole thing of like just clawing and scraping her way to the top and all the rigorous training and all the BS she had to go through to be the best, and she is the best. That is set up and payoff. That is the payoff that you can like. And if you address that, if you say that that's stupid, then they'll just be like, oh, you just hate women. You just hate women. You, those women haters. By golly. You just can't stand to see a woman in power, can you? Get triggered. But anybody with like a brain cell knows that that's not the case. It's just your writing is just stupid, and you know it's stupid because you couldn't even put enough effort to make it make sense. You just wanted to make a statement. One of the big problems in like comics right now, it doesn't got to make sense, just got to make a statement. Um, so that's stupid, and it will never be good. Anytime you're just trying to make a statement, it like definitionally cannot be good. So it was not good. It wasn't quality. There certainly are examples of it being good. This is not one of them. So the more I talk about Shang-Chi, I wonder, why did I like that movie as much as I did? Which was like, I don't know, like a 5 or a 6 out of 10, which is fine. No, 6 is a fine. 5 is like okay. So it's like okay, it was fine. Um, why did I like it? I guess visually it was okay. Like I said, some of the fight scenes weren't terrible. If you like turned your brain off and just watched it, I'm sure it was fine. It had some moments were pretty humorous with Ben Kingsley, because that dude, he's good. He's back in this movie, and he has this like little fluffy friend, which is also why I was thinking about Ray. Side note, trying to go that way. Side note, because I thought that this movie, and I wrote it down too, it felt like a Marvel Star Wars movie. That's what it felt like. Throwing these characters to this wacky new environment, they all just kind of are good at stuff. The tasks set before them, they just kind of can do. Like, there are so many moments in this movie where, like, the plot just solves itself, where it's like, "Oh, we need to know how to get to this place that has been hidden for thousands of years. Oh, that reminds me, I know how to get into this place that's been locked for thousands of years." Like, there's so many points in this where you're just like, "Oh, that was easy," you know? I don't know. That was easy. Couldn't be bothered thinking of, like, an actual, I get that was easy. There we go. I figured it out." So that annoyed me. It kind of feels like the modern Star Wars. And then you'd have like, oh, it's the funny side character. It's the funny Asian woman side character. We got this guy and he's got a cute little pet that we can turn into plushies. So it felt like they were trying to make some action figures in it. Uh, okay, sidebar over. Ben Kingsley's character has this little monster thingy. And their bits back and forth, I mean, because he can understand it, but it's like speaking gibberish, was kind of funny. Like, I don't know, there's one scene that kinda made me chuckle. They're driving through the woods, and the whole thing is like it's a moving maze, and it's just closing behind you and opening in front of you, so if you take too long, you'll just get crushed. And she's like the chick who's driving, and Ben Kingsley's giving him directions based on what the monster says. And so the monster's like, or he says like, "We better speed up because if we get caught, it eats us." And they're like, "Wait, what do you mean it eats us?" And he goes, "I don't know. He says it eats us. Take a left." And it's like, I don't know. I thought that was funny. Just like I don't know. That was like the one good joke in the movie. Made me laugh. But maybe that's why. Maybe that's that singular joke is like making that movie survive in my mind. But yeah, it was okay. The fight again, like the end of the movie fight scene and how it's all resolved. It's like it's like if you're sitting here trying to grade the movie and you're writing down like what makes sense and you're like, oh, it's like they just took it and just screw it. What if he just gets magical powers and he just controls the rings now? How does he do that? Where does that come from? What if whenever he falls into the water, he just happens to come across this ancient dragon protector that they've been needing for 1,000 years? Isn't that a little convenient? That's what it felt like. So that's my Shang-Chi review. I was kind of excited for it. It kind of sucks. Not going to see Eternals. That'll really suck. What else have they got coming out? They got a few other stuff coming out. Shang-Chi, Eternals. That Morbius trailer came out today. People are getting pretty excited for it. I'm not that excited for it. I think it's going to be bad. Doesn't look good. We've got, I don't know, they got the next Thor movie, next Doctor Strange movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that stuff I probably will see. I don't know how much of it'll be good. I'm looking forward to the new Spider-Man, did not see the new Venom. It's going through all these stuff. What I did see and did like was that Star Wars, was it Star Wars Visions that just came out where it's all the different animated anime stuff. I did like that. I gave that the chimp chump designation when I did all those. So I thought it was going to suck. So I think I said it sounded boring and stupid. About half of the episodes I really liked. About the other half, it was like take it or leave it. They kind of forgettable. But that first episode was really good. I really liked it. So hey, it's a top banana now. There you go. Now, on to some other news. Now, I got here in my notes, I have gay Wolverine written down because I thought that there was just a thing about Wolverine being gay, like making out with Sabretooth. Did I imagine that? Or is that real? Because I thought the whole Sabretooth being gay for Wolverine, I think that's like established now. But I didn't think they were like gay together. Did they announce that? I know you're not going to let me know, but let me know. Because I know they hinted at him like being bisexual last year, almost 2 years ago now, and I think it's about time to cash in on that. We need a gay Wolverine. I'm for it. Go gay Wolverine. Just make everybody gay. So there was that. So, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't know if it's real or not. And I just Googled it and it just brought up the old articles from last year. So I'm going to guess that he's not confirmed gay. Now, share screen. Okay. Sharing my screen now. So, this is the new news on Iron Fist. I saw this, wanted to talk about it. Here's my qualifications on this. I was never a huge Iron Fist fan. I read he had a series, I want to say it was from 2014. I think it started with him and Kunlun in that fighting tournament. And it had like Dog Brother, number 9, and the Bride of Nine Spiders, and all these characters like that. And it was good. I read maybe like 20 or 30 issues of it. This was on like the app, Marvel app. And I liked it. I never finished it. But I liked it, and that kind of made me an Iron Fist fan to a degree. I did not hate the show. I know a lot of people did. It was really boring, but I didn't hate it. It was the only show other than Daredevil that I actually watched all the way through. I never finished Luke Cage, never finished Jessica Jones. I guess I watched Defenders, but does that really count? So I like Iron Fist. But I remember when the show came out, all the drama around it. People were like, "Oh my gosh, Iron Fist is being played by a white guy. OMG!" And that's just how you know they're fake, dumbass fans, dumbass liberal fake fans. That's how you know, because Iron Fist has always been a white guy, always. That's kind of his thing. He was this foreigner in Kunlun who obtained the mantle of Iron Fist. So that was stupid. That was dramatic. And here's the crazy thing that I just can't wrap my mind around when it comes to these people. And you know who you are if you're one of them. And you know who I'm talking about if you're not. These people who, if the Iron Fist show came out and Iron Fist was an Asian guy, they all would have said, "Oh my gosh, Marvel is racist. An Asian guy doing kung fu, like we haven't had enough of that. Of course they make the kung fu hero Asian. Stereotypical Asian kung fu character. Outrage, outrage, outrage." But if they make him white, then they say, "A white person appropriating Asian culture? Why isn't this an Asian person doing kung fu?" You know, you can't win. It's like Schrodinger's outrage. Whatever you pick, they're going to be outraged about. So it's really not really Schrodinger then, is it? It's just a guaranteed outcome. It's outrage. So in this backwards culture now, where we're back to segregating people and back to being racist and splitting people by groups and judging them by the color of their skin and not the content of their character, we're back to only Asian writers can write Asian characters and only people who don't do kung fu should be Asian. So the new Iron Fist is going to be this Asian guy. Now, I will say, I'm surprised that this is not an Asian girl. I say give him time. Um, so that's at least something. But of course, they got an Asian person to write it. I think they got an Asian person to color it. And it's an Asian Iron Fist now because only Asians can write Asian people, and Asian people can only write Asian. So Asian has to do all this work for Iron Fist, who has to be an Asian because they do kung fu. Don't you know that? Now here we go. Oh, And just like these token replacement characters, they never actually have to go through the trial of the original. So, looks like the new Iron Fist doesn't actually have to kill Shao Lao the Undying Dragon like the regular ones do. So that's nice. They can just skip right to the head of the line, and yeah, so that's awesome. So yeah, they've been faced with criticism for the Iron Fist entanglement with white savior narratives. So if you have a white character who is a superhero, that is a white savior narrative. Good to know. But they really just mean he does kung fu. I associate that with Asian people because I'm, well, not because you're a racist. They got a lot of Asian kung fu movies, but it's like it's kung fu. It has to be Asian. Don't you know that? If they're white, then they're just being a white savior. So very stupid, very racist, very retarded. Uh, yeah, I disapprove. I think it's just it's so stupid, unnecessary, and like I said, it's like you would think that if I told you, no, only Asians can write Asians. Oh, they do kung fu? Make him an Asian guy. 10 years ago, you would have thought that I was a racist. But nowadays, if you say, no, anybody can write anybody and anybody can do kung fu, well, now you're the racist. Gotcha. So yeah, the new Iron Fist. My thoughts. Um, next, breaking news. Um, Image Comics formed a union. If you guys have seen this, it's been all over everywhere, and a lot of people have just been saying, well, here is the end of Image Comics. It was nice knowing you, but you're over. So it was 9 Image Comics employees formed a union, and oh, a link to their new website listing their goals. So, our workforce specializes in skills. They love doing what they're doing. It should not be revolutionary. Yeah. Let's see. I know they talked about like, oh, that we can barely stay above water and that, we don't make enough money. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. So let's see. What do they want? Where are their demands? Our labor is integral to the comic book community. Okay, here's the thing. These are the staffers. This isn't the creatives. This is the staffers. Now, they said their work is integral to the comic book community. It's not. The staffers are leeches on the comic book community. That's why so many people are jumping to independence, because guess what? An independent creator can write, like, say, if you're an independent artist, you can write, draw, ink, maybe even color your own book, and then you can go ahead and print and distribute your own book. You don't need a team of editors and all this bureaucracy on every single step of the way down to handle that for you. They just take up money. That's why stuff's so expensive. You have all these peons just taking up money. So, I mean, I get why they're scared. If I was in charge, I'd just cut all of them. Uh, so maybe that's why they're doing this. So they want to foster a more competitive industry. Yeah, okay. Through salary and workload transparency. Okay, don't really know what you mean by that. You want a more competitive. Okay, whatever. Improve staff morale through like reviews and all that stuff. Okay, you probably should be doing reviews. The creation of a more transparent company culture. Oh, so we have more meetings. That sounds great. So that they can complain to each other. Okay. Detailed record keeping. Should probably do that too. Improve career mobility. Okay. So that sounds fine. Like you probably should be able to have some mobility in your career. Probably should have record keeping. Probably, well, I don't know about monthly all hands meetings. That kind of sounds like that sucks. Probably should have good morale. So this stuff so far probably is what a normal company should have. They don't really say how they want it done, uh, except in very generic terms. So we'll see how that goes. The continuation of remote work. Here we get into it. Here we go. The remote work of any employee who requests it, and the creation of a detailed policy outlining how the company provides reasonable accommodations for remote employees. The pandemic has removed the necessity to pay for central office space and utilities. Huh. Yeah. Power furnishings. Okay, here. Oh, employees now shoulder the burden of internet, power, and furnishings, and other hardware working from home. Yeah, here's the thing about that. Do you have to pay for all that stuff? Stay with me now. Because you're working from home, you don't have to work from home. If you want the company to pay for the internet and the furnishings, go work at the office. If you want, if that stuff doesn't bother you, then work at home. This seems kind of like a non-issue. If you don't want to pay for the stuff that the company paid for when you worked in the office, go work in the office. If you want to work at home, the convenience of being able to work at home, well, then there you go. You got to take on a little bit more of a burden. Plus, remote work is such a joke, in my opinion. Though I will say I've seen a ton of industries where, like, yeah, is showing up in an office really that important? No, but it's like you just don't want to go to work. You just don't want to show up to work. So you're going to save money on gas. You're going to be home. You're going to be more comfortable, less accountable. But they should also still pay for all your stuff. Yeah, okay. That's stupid. That's just selfish. Better overall product through the immediate addition of staff. Oh, and production and marketing. Oh, good. Oh, geez. Okay, so you want hands-on approach, want white glove attention for all the books. Okay. That sucks also. In the comic industry where sales and wages are going down, 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 you want more employees, you want more bureaucracy, you want more hands-on on every single level of creation, which the creatives don't want. You want more red tape, more bureaucracy, and more useless wages to pay. And also, all that's going to be from home, and the company should pay for you to be at home. Okay, not going to happen. That's two bad ones in a row. Oh, a long-term actionable plan to address lack of diversity in both general staff and management. The authors, artists, and readers who bring comics to life have never been homogenous, and the stories we publish can only be improved by staffing or organization in a way that more accurately reflects the demographic. So they mean fire white people. So you want to hire on a ton more people. You want to fire the white people. So you're going to need even more staff. Because, don't you guys know this? This is just what we were talking about with Iron Fist. If you don't have a black person writing a black character, or an Asian person writing an Asian character, that just won't cut it, folks. Moreover, if you don't have a black person editing those books or uh, handling the finances or marketing or anything like that, then it just won't work. We need more diversity. The lack of diversity in general staff and management, that always works. Never any downside to that. Never have to sacrifice quality. I see nothing wrong with that. Renewed commitment. This is the big one. Renewed commitment to company values through the addition of a collective voting option to immediately cancel publication of any title whose creators have been found to be engaged in abuse, sexual assault, racism and xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, ableism, etc., until such time as said creators have engaged in meaningful reparations towards affected persons. That is a lot to break down, but I will try my best. How's my time looking? How is my time looking? Okay. So, they want to add in. Keep in mind, these are the same people who will say cancel culture doesn't exist, consequence culture exists. Oh, cancel cultures. But they want to literally cancel you if they don't like what you have done or said. A collective voting option. They want to literally have a council of crybabies together that can sit and judge you. Keep in mind, they don't have a full list here. Creators that have been found, if we accidentally stumble upon, we accidentally found that you have done something we don't like, you're canceled. You're literally canceled. Oh, that book you were depending on making some money, you're canceled. Now, another thing that plays into all this is we're going to be more diverse, right? And as we well know, only white people are racist. So who is this targeted at? Beats me. I have no idea. Beats me. Abuse, sexual assault, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, ableism, etc. Etc. just means anything that we don't like. Etc. is just anything that we find objectionable for any reason. The council finds that you are canceled. Bye-bye. And here's the thing. As much as you probably don't want to admit it out there, whoever you are watching this, my single viewer, which is myself, as much as you don't want to admit this, everybody has said something like this. Every single person on the planet has said something that could fit loosely into one of these categories, especially etc. Anything. You comb through somebody's tweets, emails for the past 10, 20 years, you think they're going to be as culturally enlightened as we are today? No. So, what they mean is, we want to have, well, we do have leverage over everybody because we can go find this somewhere. We can find any complaint we want with you, specifically, here at Image Comics. We want to hold that over your head. That at the drop of a hat, if you do something we don't like, we can cancel your book just like that. Oh, you want to keep working? You have to make a meaningful reparation. What does that mean? That means you can apologize all we want. If we don't consider it meaningful, doesn't matter. So if we don't like you, we're going to kick you out and you can't get back in. So it seems like, oh, well, I'm not an objectionable person. I've never abused or sexually assaulted anybody, which apparently is a big problem in the comic industry. I'm not a racist or a xenophobe, or a homophobe or a transphobe or an anti-Semite. I'm not an Islamophobe or an ableist. I'm not etc. So I should be fine. Wrong. I don't know. You can tell you in the office one day, you could be like, "Oh, hey Gina, you look nice today." What did you just say? Canceled. Books canceled. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, well, I don't think that you're being meaningful. Still canceled. Do I think something like that's going to happen? Maybe. Honestly, maybe. So that's just going to be a huge train wreck. Look at that. Again, the first 5, that was so promising. But then you get down into it. This just is ridiculous. This is something that I expect from a company. Oh, I want remote work and I want it paid, and I don't want you to question me. It's like, okay, I expect that from a stupid union. But, whatever. Better addition of staff. Yeah, they want more bureaucracy. I expect that from an idiot. So, again, those two check out. I want the lack of diversity. I expect that from an idiot, aka libtard. I repeat myself. And I say that jokingly, not all like liberals are bad. It's like just the far left weirdos who this obviously is who wrote this, some far left weirdos. If you're a liberal or Democrat out there, you're okay in my book. It's just the far left weirdos. Uh, so yeah, that one, those three check out, and then this one here is just astounding. I think that the only option is Image Comics goes the way of the dodo, right? But here's the thing: if you don't bow down and grant this, you are now a victim of this. If you don't bow down, then you are now a racist, xenophobe, homophobe, yada yada yada, etc. And I'm sure right now they're keeping their eyes open on all the comic creators out there. Huh. Did Sean Gordon Murphy, did he support our union? Did Scott Snyder support our union? I'll keep that in mind next time they want to publish a book, whether or not they supported our union. Just wait. The disaster waiting to happen. Do I have anything else on my notes? Yeah, that's a huge, huge deal. Especially like now, when comics suck. Both like the actual comics themselves suck, but also like sales are down, stores are closing. And this is how you want to address that issue? By making it harder on everybody? I can't believe it. I can believe it, but I can't believe it. Who is this? Let's do that. Okay. So, ridiculous. That is going to blow up in their face. It should blow up in their face, I should say. I don't want to live in a world where we bow down to these people and just hand them all that. Do you? I don't. So, I'm afraid of that happening. What did we go over today? Shang Chi, movies having rules, Iron Fist, Image Comics, gay Wolverine. Is there anything else to talk about? I'm pushing the 45-minute limit I try to stay at. But I think that's it. I'm interested to see how all of this is going to go over in the coming months and years. Whether Image Comics will be around in the coming months and years. We know Marvel's going to be fine. Their movies are going to be fine. They're going to suck, and they're going to get less and less people watching, I think. But, they'll be fine. It's Disney. They're going to be all right. Oh, and kind of fun news. In one of my business classes that I'm in, I'm going to be doing a presentation 1 week from today on trying to solve Marvel's distribution crisis. And here was kind of my idea. Let me know what you think. I know you won't, but let me know what you think. So I'm not going to do the whole presentation. That's too long. But basically, my idea is Marvel stops doing, for the most part, single issues. Because there's way too many of them. Nobody buys them. They're predatory. You have to buy a certain amount. And it's just unsold merchandise that can't be returned. Way too many single issue comics. So instead, they take all these really crappy characters, like 90%, and all the single issues are just digital. Maybe guys like Spider-Man and X-Men, maybe you still print, but I'd still say do all your single issues digital. And if they sell well enough, then you can have a limited print run to make them maybe a little bit more collectible too. And then you go ahead and physically print the trades, just the trades. So collectors can still collect. You can still display your comics with the trades if you want to. Plus, I feel like more people are buying trades anyways. And you got a new market of younger readers who probably like digital, who probably would prefer a trade because it's going to save them money and they get a full story. This is like the generation of binging where you want a full story. So I feel like that would help and probably save them some money. But that's my pitch. Let me know what you guys think about all the topics discussed today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.